about to go over.
Good afternoon, everybody. Very excited today. It looks like we're going to have a really good show. I'd like to welcome Ruth from Queens, New York, who's going to be moving in shortly. Hi, Ruth. Everyone, give Ruth the Winmore wave. Okay. Good to see you, Ruth. Welcome aboard. Jakia, we have a load of guests today, really important guests, VIPs.
We do. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. All right, well, it is a full show. We do have Broward County Sheriff Gregory Tony with us. He'll be the first up. How are you today?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for the invitation. You can't see my colleague with me, but my chief of staff is sitting off to my left, who's going to be joining us kind of off the air. And I'll start with this. We have done a ton of Zoom conferences, as you can imagine, over the last several months. And no one has put together a production opening up the way that Winmore has. So I'm already enjoying today's opportunity to speak to you guys. Great job on going all in and getting this thing and making it entertaining and a very light mood. And I'll also start out with confessing, I do have my teacup, but there's coffee in here. It's the best I can do. But I'm trying to meet all the necessities for this meeting. Look, this is an exciting time. We're going to have a little fun, as you can see. But I wanted to say thank you. Thank you to the entire community. As you all know, we just came off an election season. I was not a savvy political candidate, has been a law enforcement professional my entire career. And so we ran on a campaign of performance and just doing what's right for this community. And you all responded. You responded tremendously. Supported me. We got a great deal of votes and support from your community. And I'm thankful. I'm very grateful for that level of trust. And I'm going to continue to earn it every day. Our command staff is excited about the opportunity. For those who are not familiar, this is the first time in decades where the entire command staff, our colonels, our majors, are comprised of BSO born and bred employees. When I came into the organization, I wanted to honor the men and women who had served here before me, and decided to break precedent, which is kind of a tradition where a sheriff comes in and they bring all their colleagues and friends from outside the agency, people that they've known for years and trust, and put them in command positions. I think that's part of probably why some of the issues we've had over the last several different administrations, and the success we're going to talk about that we've had today where the agency is, the things we've accomplished, is a testament to the now 500 years of institutional knowledge and experience that is helping me lead this agency up. So with that being said, I think it's probably a little bit more appropriate for me to start with what we've done over the last 2 years. 2 years have blown by pretty quickly here in this agency. And to start with, I already alluded to the importance of promoting from within. By promoting from within, we have created a ripple effect, a positive ripple effect, where more people in this organization are getting an opportunity to be promoted to ranks of sergeants, lieutenants, executive directors, etc. And to give you an idea, in a short time frame of really less than 2 years, we've had over 400 plus promotions in this organization. That's remarkable. And of that 400, half of them have been women. Half have been women, to include, of course, you all know, my undersheriff, Nicole Anderson, is a 28 plus year veteran. I believe she's a 28 or 26 year veteran. She's the first woman to serve in the capacity of number 2 in command of this organization as undersheriff. How fitting, super talented, driven by all nothing but passion. And she has been doing a phenomenal job for me in this agency. We also have the most diverse command staff in the sense of who is our executive directors, who's running law enforcement. Another law enforcement veteran of the agency, David Holmes, is leading it up. He's an African-American. We also promoted 2 different Hispanics Americans who have finally reached this platform as well. We haven't seen that. Our executive director over communications is a Cuban-American, Oscar Lorena, and then we also have James Reyes, who is leading up our Department of Administration. So instantly you start seeing all these different, we finally look like Broward County. We're covering everything. We promoted more women, we promoted more minorities, but that was the start of, okay, now that we have a construct, now we have a leadership core, now we have all this experience, what do we need to tackle? And we hit things. We set this up in a structure where we really kind of made this into pillars, so to speak. And if you can go on our website, we looked at and said, hey, how do we put forth 6 core pillars to design our platform for what we want to do for this community? The first pillar was promoting from within, giving the men and women the tools and equipment that are essential for them to be successful, to include giving them the best best raise in 25 years. During this time in this economy, we were able to pull it off through our budget. We also invested millions of dollars back into areas of safety. That was one of a huge pillar for us. We start talking about advancing our training protocols, making sure that school safety was a priority. And we did that. One of the biggest projects we launched was, I think we're hitting close to $7 million now because we're still advancing in technology, was our real-time crime center. The real-time crime center is what we built out just downstairs, where we dedicated roughly 3,000 square feet to create basically an emergency operations center that is managed 24/7, where their focal point and priority originally was to be able to safeguard our schools. We contracted with the school board. We have live access to over 20,000 cameras across 256 schools. And then we branched it out into private schools as well and making it accessible. And we're not charging anyone this. This has proven it paid for itself really within the first probably 4 months. We've seen our men and women being able to pull up real feeds of what's happening on campus, stop and mitigate crimes almost instantly. Prime example, we had a group of suspects who committed a burglary in one of our communities. They bailed out of the cars, they ran into the school grounds, and instantly our real-time crime center activated, alerted all the cameras on the school grounds, including the parking lot, and we were able to see the suspects running through the parking lot, full description, apprehend them before they ever made it into the school. That's just one real testament about what's been going on. In addition, I'm happy to say we broke ground on a state-of-the-art training center. For those who are not familiar, the agency's been around for 106 years, and we've never had our own training center. We put monies and capitals into that. We broke the ground in December of 2019, and we're finally about to start going vertical in terms of what the build-out procedures. So exciting time again for that. Another pillar was going into accountability and transparency. I know those are tagline words that are running across our nation with certain political figures, but it has never been more true and sincere out of myself and this administration. And we looked at what was occurring internally. We had an organization where we were growing accustomed to seeing levels of excessive force and not really holding men and women accountable, giving them a slap on the wrist, a minor suspension for a couple of days. But we stepped up in this administration and had a zero tolerance effect. I was not going to be receptive to any form of abuse. And so when we start laying that foundation, it resulted in us terminating employees. It resulted in us demoting employees. And what happened, and I share this all the time, is discipline is not isolated to the individual. What do I mean? Discipline has the overall impact on an organization. And as I'm changing the culture of the organization, activities and actions we had to take against employees who conducted wrongdoings, modified behavior for those who had not been caught doing anything wrong. And now the expectation has been established. We also looked at how do we invest money to ensure we don't have a George Floyd murder in Broward County. We were doing this before George Floyd. And what do I mean? We didn't have an early warning tracking system established, a system that could look at a deputy's encounters and reports and use of force, and then flag him or her, get back to administration and say, hey, you guys need to take a look at this one. This is number 5, this is number 6. So we invested in technologies, we launched that platform. Now we are able to track any type of indicators and behaviors that may require me to either demote someone, terminate someone, or get them the proper training or treatment that they may need. That's a success model. In addition, we recreated or reestablished our Professional Standards Committee. Professional Standards Committee, can't take credit for that. It's been around for 30 years. But the difference is for every single sheriff that comes into the office, as you can imagine, the Professional Standards Committee take on the culture and expectations of that sheriff. And so initially I came in, I was working on the school safety stuff, looking at advancing our trainings. That was a priority. Then I had to take a look back and say, hey, what's going on with the Professional Standards Committee? Doesn't seem like they're giving sound recommendations for discipline based on what we were saying. And so we hit the reset button. We went out and brought more civilians, professional-based civilians, lawyers, former attorney generals, a judge to be the chairman of the Professional Standards Committee, so that when we were looking at these cases of potential excessive conduct or failure to comply with policies, we weren't establishing an environment where law enforcement was dominating the room, where civilians were afraid to speak up or make a recommendation that may have been against the law enforcement personnel in the room. And that bringing that balance has been excellent. Judge Julio Gonzalez has been a judge here in Broward County for quite some time. I was so happy when he accepted the position, when I hired him to be our chairman. And I say this all the time, but who better to bring balance and objectivity than a judge? And he has been proven it to his weight in gold at this point. I love what he's doing there. But we also created for the first time the agency's Use of Force Review Board. A Use of Force Review Board is comprised of a group of subject matter experts internally, where we can go to every single district under our command and look at use of force cases before it becomes the big eternal affairs, CNN, this happened, dun, dun, dun moment. We get a chance to look at it and self-correct and fix and modify before it's a problem. I didn't want to keep waiting for bad things to happen. I said, let's reach out there and see what we can fix. The other opponent about Pillar 2, this accountability and transparency. And by the way, you can go on our website, you can go to sheriff.org/Sheriff Tony, and you'll find all these initiatives there. When we look at what else we could do, we said we don't want to be retroactive. Fixing problems, firing people, that's a retroactive response to some bad behavior that may have already occurred. So we instead said, what can we do to help reduce the real racial tensions amongst law enforcement and communities of color, Black and brown people? We put forth new training. Racial equity and implicit bias training was the charge. That's what you all were requesting. That's what the community was saying. Hey, let's see some investment in some sensitivity training to help cut some of this down. And I committed $1 million to the program to mandate all our officers or deputies go through it. And I was happy to see every single chief of police say, hey, Sheriff, we're with you. We think you're right. We're signing up for this. So we're the first county in the state of Florida where every law enforcement officer, or at least every law enforcement administrator, has agreed upon having their personnel take this training and ensure that we're cutting down on some of these tensions that exist. So that was a huge accomplishment. Pillar number 3, when we start talking about serving Broward County, one of the things we wanted to do was get back to real community-oriented policing. Look, I'm an academic. I've gone to grad school, going back for my doctorate degree when it comes to these different things. And it is true. We have to have a better relationship with the community. It can't be the Broward Sheriff's Office shows up to Winmore during campaign season, and I come out smiling and giving you all these promises, and then we forget about all the other stuff that we were supposed to do over the next 4 years. And so we launched 2 big models that have been having a tremendous success. We built out something called our neighborhood support team. Our neighborhood support team is led up by Captain Renee Peterson. Some of you already met her. She's in charge of the entire operation. And the idea was to get district sergeants and officers and every single one of our responsibilities and districts into the circle to figure out what are the key issues going on in the community, build a coalition of forces in Tamarack, build a coalition of forces in Deerfield, and know what's going on routinely, and give us the intel as administrators about, hey, Sheriff, we heard 5 times in Tamarack that they want to see you do X. Okay, great. Do we have the resources, capabilities to do so? If we do, let's launch. If we don't, let's figure out how do we move forward. A prime example of how this has been successful has been how we've handled COVID-19. COVID-19 is continuing to devastate populations in our community, our elderly population who is at risk, can't go out and shop for food. People are losing jobs. And now we have gotten to a point where people are making difficult decisions as to, should I keep the lights on or should I put food on the table? And I say this personally, I've been there. All right, I've had difficulties in my life where I've been homeless. I know what it's like not to have food. I know what it's like to live on someone's sofa. I've been there. And so I said, what can we do as an organization to help take that burden off of someone else's plate? And it's not just a burden for an individual, it impacts society. Because if people are suffering and they're forced to make decisions as to should they steal this loaf of bread to feed their child for sake of risking going to jail, or should they go hungry, people are going to do what they need to do to survive. And so there's a nexus there between crime patterns. And how do we mitigate that? We partnered up with Feeding South Florida and some other different entities out in the community to help set up distribution sites for food deliveries. And that was a huge operation. So big that we've gotten to a point where, coupled with Feeding South Florida, we've helped distribute over 4 million pounds of food. Now, a lot of people are like, well, that's not police work. Well, 2 mantras that we run by is protect and serve. And that aspect is most certainly serving this community. And we're not done with it. There's more people who are suffering from hunger out there. And we pulled about $100,000 out of our law enforcement trust fund, which is a batch of money come from seized drugs and narcotics and crime patterns. And we procured 750,000 additional meals for our community. And I'm not done with that. As the need arrives, we'll continue to do more. In addition to what has launched from our neighborhood support team, after the George Floyd murder, we heard from the community that they wanted more inclusion. Hey, we're tired of you making your own policies. We're tired of you as a law enforcement administrator just doing what's suitable and effective for your law enforcement personnel, but you're not hearing the concerns of the community. And so we launched the agency's, actually the county's first social justice task force. And that's going effectively well, also headed up through by Captain Peterson, as well as Judge Julio Gonzalez. And that social justice task force allows us to bring in 25 members from this community, stakeholders, parents, lawyers, school teachers, former public servants, some civic leaders, including Black Lives Matter, into this circle to ensure we are having a real conversation about what's important for the community. And then we are acting upon those conversations. It's no more just sitting in a room and talking. I think people get tired of hearing good ideas and never see them come into fruition. And we are building dreams and getting stuff done here now with that neighborhood support team. In addition to that, we have tasked our men and women to execute what's called a park, walk, and talk. Basic initiative to get our men and women out of the cars so that they can engage with the community and know who they work for. You should know who lives on the corner block. You should know the young man walking down the street with the hoodie on. You should know them on a first name basis. And also, just as important, they should know us. That builds a level of trust. When I know the kid with the hoodie on walking down the street is John, and he just finished football practice, and he's an academic student, and he's not a suspect. Like, all these little intangible things help. And it also helps with the reduction in crime. Since we started the Park, Walk, and Talk program, we've gotten to a point where we've been out of our vehicles well over 20,000 plus times. And through those encounters, we've walked into crimes. We've walked into burglaries in progress. We've walked into someone having a medical condition around a corner tucked in where you would never see it happen if you were just driving by in your car. That is expanding our reach, and it's enhancing our overall performance out in the field. So it's not a minor thing. It's not something that should be dismissive. It's not as sexy as some of the operations you hear about when we're chasing down bad guys and suspects, but is most certainly relevant to community service. Another pillar that we have is the importance of looking at what we're doing with training and recruiting. If there's questions, I'll pause for a moment because I can do this all day. We've been busy. Any questions about anything as of now?
Keep going. We'll get you later. Keep going. He had to take a breath.
Go for it. I'm going.
You talked for 21 minutes without taking a breath. That's a record here.
You haven't been into my command meetings.
I can imagine.
5 minutes.
So, Jakia, you want to take some questions now, or you want to continue with the pillars?
You have covered it. No one has any questions yet.
I love the pillars.
Okay.
I love your pillars.
We'll keep it going.
Excellent. So I'll keep pushing forward. I talked about, the things we're doing for reaching out in the community and expanding how we're helping out with the food population concerns, but also investing back from a community standpoint into youth mentorship programs. We launched our BSO youth mentorship program designed to pull kids who are suffering and their parents don't have that disposable income to send them into advanced programs that focus on our 7 pillars in this program, which is education, life skills, career development, financial literacy, community service, government and civic responsibilities, and health and wellness. These are important. I dedicated to kickstart this off $250,000 again from the Law Enforcement Trust Fund. Monies that were used to do bad things are now doing good things. And so this partnership started up. It's going to be about an 8-week program. We've already have the predominantly Black historic fraternities and sororities who have jumped on board and said, hey, we want to help. But then you also have Hispanic Unity, you have the YMCA, and many others who we anticipate are going to be part of this program to reach every part of this community and not just segments of it. The last now we'll cover, and then we'll dive back into giving you guys more time to ask me some questions. I haven't been over there in a while for sake of COVID-19, and we're all on the screen. But the last now covers where we are headed in terms of things you can expect out of us. We are not past this COVID-19 pandemic. And so one of the things I have learned looking at what has taken place here in my communications with both state officials, federal officials, is we cannot afford to wait ever for the assistance from state government or federal government. A county this big, an agency this big, where we are operating off of roughly $1 billion budget, the county generates roughly $5 billion collectively, we can do more. And so I looked at how can we maximize some of the CARES money that is coming in to safeguard this community. One of the things we learned during this pandemic was there had become so much price gouging when it came to acquiring the personal protection equipment, gloves, masks, hand sanitizer, and it's continuing. And so I said, well, wait, we don't want to wait until we're into another pandemic to start procuring large volumes of this equipment. So I put forth an initiative to create the Broward County Strategic Stockpile, where we are procuring over $10 million in personal protection equipment. It will be housed in all the necessary security elements around it, including that what needed in terms of ACs and ventilation to make sure none of this stuff really expires out. And that's a huge step for this county. The county administrator jumped on board. She said, Sheriff, you're right. Whatever you need from me, we're in. And that's taking place now. Purchase orders are going out, and we are focused on making sure those monies remain in this county. One of the things I have been adamant about is doing more business in Broward County. For so many of our contracts, we're doing a deep dive and audit right now. So many of the contractual things we have going on in this agency, there's a lot of business in other parts of the state of Florida, other vendors that we are using. There's other vendors we're using outside of the state. And so I tasked my team to look at those vendors. And if we have something that we can offset and procure here through a Broward County business, then let's do it. During a time where our economy is suffering, during a time where our people are losing jobs, a time where people are starving, we should not be allowing any money to leave this county unnecessarily. And so that is huge. It's a big undertaking because we have like 8,100 different vendors, but we're going to go through each and every one of those goods and services that we need and make sure that we can put that money in Broward County. So overall, the agency, we're so much better off than we were when I first came in. And that's because of the men and women that has been leading up. You know, I don't take praise for any of this stuff. I love what my command staff is doing for this community. They get the message, they understand the mission, they understand my expectations, and we are super active, not only in the community side, but we have not forgotten about the safeguard measures, which I know is also vitally important. So we're tackling crime trends, we're putting together operations. You'll see more of our operational tempo on TV. I've gotten to a point where I've been on TV a lot over the last 2 years. And I prefer to be on TV talking about the great work that the men and women are doing. And so you will see more of that because I think the community lost a lot of great work that was done last year. And I don't think that's fair to the people who are serving you. So with that, I would pause, take a sip of my tea, and take some questions.
All right. Go ahead.
Jackie, I have a question for the sheriff. Can you tell us, this is a great program we have here, the LEAD Camp. I think the LEAD Camp with the learning, education, development for the children that you're running.
Yes, so that's part of the youth mentor program that we were talking about. That will focus on giving us the chance to actually put together a construct that gives these 7 viable skills to kids who can't afford it. And they may not be able to go to some advanced tutoring program to learn more about financial literacy. But there's a lot of resources in this community and businesses that will take that responsibility on. And so one of the biggest things I had heard, Bruce, from the community is, especially those communities that are suffering the most and don't have this type of income, was, well, we can't even get there. If I wanted to put my kid in this program, I don't have a car, I can't even drive. So we invested and spent money on several Sprinter vans to be able to pick these kids up, bring them into the program, let them get these viable skills, because it's going to result in turning them into better and productive citizens in this country. So I think everyone's winning on this one, not just Broward County. As you know, young people eventually will leave this county for other jobs in college and other exploratory opportunities for their life, but we got a chance to impact them right here, right now.
And maybe someday they could play football for Florida State.
Go Noles.
Yeah, right. For those of you that don't know, that the sheriff was a football player for the Florida State Seminoles. Okay, Jackie, you got questions for the sheriff?
The Florida State. I do. Give me 1 second, Miss Marcella. We do have an audience question from Mr. Eric Lakin. He would like to know how many police and civilian staff members are there?
So currently BSO has roughly 5,700 employees. That 5,700 employees is spread across roughly 6 departments, to include the Department of Preparedness and Response, a new department we launched. Maybe I'll come back and talk a bit more about that. The Department of Fire Rescue, Department of Community Services, Department of Detention, the Department of Professional Standards and Regulations. And then we have like all our different subsidies and CPIS and everything else that is within the agency. CPIS is Child Protective Investigations. What other big ones we have in here? Different partnerships that we have established outside of it. So 5,700 total, big moving agency, and we spread across 1,300 square miles. Of that 5,700 employees, first responders wise, is a little over 3,000. Of the 3,000, you're talking about 700 firefighters, Department of Detention, and your law enforcement personnel in the field. The typical question is, well, how many cops you have? We have roughly 1,500 law enforcement officers in the field right now.
Okay. Ms. Marcella?
Yes, hi, Sheriff Gregory. I see you've come a long way, and I was a little shocked to hear that you at one point were homeless.
Yes, ma'am.
How is that possible?
Well, okay.
If you want to talk about it, if not,
I
it's
grew up in
okay.
the inner city. No. Listen, I share my testimony. I'm a God-fearing man, and I hold my faith dear. And, I grew up in the inner cities in northern Philadelphia in the 1990s. It was saturated with crime trends and drugs, survived the home invasion, personal shooting, left the city with roughly $500 in my pocket after high school. I had swept up in the barbershop. I was drilling holes in the bowling balls at Sports Authority and working to save up enough money. I sent the deposit down to an apartment down in Tallahassee. I had never been out of the city in my life. I saved up enough money to purchase my first plane ticket. And when I was rich, I had $500 in my pocket. I jumped on the plane with a backpack and a duffel bag and landed in Tallahassee. Well, $500 didn't last long. And it got to a point where I couldn't pay my rent. I didn't have a place to live. I had to work with friends and on campus, and they let me sleep on their sofas. They helped me out as far as I could go. And then I continued to work. So look, there's a story here about perseverance. There's a story here about having enough belief in yourself that regardless of what trials and tribulations you may face, you can make it. I have beat every odd possible, whereas statistically, before I left Philadelphia, and you can look some of this stuff up, there was an average of roughly 400, almost to 500 homicides a year in that city. And I was one of 3 people in my community that made it out. And so I figured if I can make it, then it's inexcusable for anyone not to make it. It is up to you as an individual. And that's what I tell our youth. That's what I tell our community. That's what I share with my command staff and my new deputies who are coming into this role.
Sheriff Gregory, thank you very much for sharing, and God bless you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Does anyone else have any further questions for the sheriff?
Well, Jakia, it's
Hi,
Jackie
Jackie.
Raley, honey. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Sheriff Tony, how are you?
Hello, ma'am. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Good, good.
Hi,
I'm
Jackie.
president of Winmore. How are you? We met at the Panthers game
I
a
know
couple
who
of
you
years
are.
ago. Yeah,
I know
great.
who you are.
Thanks. Oh,
My
good.
mother taught me well. It's still ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you. I just wanted to say hello and wish you well and congratulate you and know you have our full support, and thank you for everything you do.
No, thank you so much. And thanks for always opening up the doors and giving me an opportunity to not only speak to y'all, but to just be part of the family. And I got to wear this uniform and maintain professionalism. But every time I'm amongst this group, it's like sitting around a table with family. So I appreciate it.
We are. Thank you. And we welcome you as part of our Winmore family. And God bless and happy, healthy, you and your family. Hope we see you soon in person. Mm-hmm.
Let's give the sheriff the Winmore wave. Thank you, Sheriff.
Like this?
Right. Thank you and happy holidays.
Thank you again, Sheriff.
Thank you, Sheriff. Okay, Jakia, you want to stay with political, with the police force, Coconut Creek?
Yes, we can. I know we have Officer Elizabeth Micallef from Coconut Creek Police and Officer Zombek. How are you guys doing today?
We're great. Grateful to be here.
There we go. Hi, everybody. I was unable to unmute. It's nice to see everyone again. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Officer Beth Micallef. It's been a while since I've seen you all, so I hope you're doing well during these times.
Hope you are as well, Beth.
Hi, Jackie.
How you doing?
Good, good, good.
Good. Hopefully one day we'll be able to actually be together. in person.
I
So
prefer the
that
tea
time
that
is-
way. It's much more
Yes.
personable. Yes.
Absolutely. Good.
So looking at the stats from last week, because I know Mike normally goes over the stats with you all, there was only a fraud, and it was basically like an Amazon scheme. So basically what had happened was somebody had tried to, they contacted the subject by telephone, pretended to be a representative from Amazon, and convinced the person to go log onto their computer, and then the person took control of their computer and more or less convinced them that there was fraudulent activity on their Amazon account. So again, this is not something that Amazon will usually do. They're not going to contact you via telephone. If you get a phone call like this, the best thing to do would be to contact Amazon directly from your own account information that you have. Never give anybody access to your computer and take control. Fortunately, the person at the time of the report hadn't been victimized, where there was no loss on their part. But at this time, they don't know whether their computer has been compromised now, or any bank information has been, or credit card information has been obtained because they allowed them access into their computer. So again, it just goes into the scams. There are a lot of scams this time of year, especially with Christmas. They've been advertising a lot about COVID. People cannot sell you COVID vaccinations. So that's what the CDC and everything they're saying. They're trying to prevent people from being scammed by thinking that, oh, well, I can get access to a COVID vaccine. So the best thing to do would be to follow CDC, watch the news, reputable businesses like CVS, Walgreens and stuff. When they start advertising that they have access to the vaccine and it's available, then people, will know. But go to a reliable source. But if somebody calls you up or contacts you by mail, or you get emails or text messages for somebody that has a vaccine available, it's most likely going to be a scam, and people should not fall victim to it.
Okay.
Another thing to keep in mind with the holidays approaching is just to be cautious. Again, sometimes we see an increase in criminal activity as far as in shopping centers and stuff, where they look for people that are vulnerable and distracted when doing their holiday shopping and all. So again, you're buying those big ticket items. You don't want to be putting them in your car, driving to the next store, next place, leaving it in plain view. Sometimes they'll follow you to your next destination, and when you go into the store, they're smashing out your windows and they're stealing the merchandise that you just purchased. So if you're making those types of purchases, you'd probably want to make it on the end of your trip when you're going back home and you can secure the items properly. So that would be another tip that I would give as far as with the holidays. And the other thing that I wanted to remind everybody of is this time of year, unfortunately, it is a happy time of year normally. COVID has changed things. And for some people, it's not a happy time of year. A lot of people suffer from depression and sadness during this time of year, especially if they've suffered a loss. So I say to everybody, if you know somebody that suffered a loss recently, or that they've had a loss around this time of year and it might be a hard time for them with the holidays, maybe reach out to them, offer an ear or some help. Sheriff Tony had touched on people that may be struggling financially or with food. If you have somebody that has that and you have the ability to help them, maybe lend a helping hand, a helping ear, and it might just help them get through the holidays. And an act of kindness goes a long way. That's basically what I have, unless somebody has any questions for me.
Yeah, that was a wonderful suggestion, Officer Beth. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I did want to ask you, now, does Coconut Creek put on extra force at the promenade, say around the areas, because of this vulnerability?
Yes, we do. I know that Officer Zombek had assisted with moving up some of the T3s over into the promenade. So you might see some of the officers on those. They're kind of like segways, people that don't know what a T3 is. Also, we have our bike officers out there, both on road patrol. The certified bike officers will be out there on the bicycles. And we have one of our officers that is designated bike patrol solely. That's all he does. So he's out there. He will be doing extra patrol in the shopping centers, as long as, in addition to road patrol. Our other bike officer, Officer Torres, he's also, what's the word I'm looking for? He's with the, Yeah, he's with the Coast Guard, and he is currently on leave with them, and his leave got extended. So we are
Okay.
down him, and unfortunately I had surgery, so I'm not able to do bike right now. So hopefully I'll be up and running too, and I'll give Officer Cook their hand with extra patrol as soon as I'm ready.
Oh, great, great. Well, heal fast, and
Thank
happy
you.
holidays to you
Thank you.
and your
Same to
family.
you. Thank you.
Thanks, dear. Okay.
Does
Any
anybody else have
questions?
any questions?
Let's see. No, I don't see any questions on our end. Thank you
So-
very much.
Does Officer Zombek want to add in, or we good?
Sure, I can jump in. It's good to have the crime prevention team back together here at Winmore at the T. We hope to see you all in person very soon, of course, and visit. But fortunately, as Officer Micallef said, crime is down again for this week. Not much to report. However, in looking at some of our statistics, the village that has had the most calls for service, just as a curiosity, is actually Bermuda. In the last 5 months, they've had 31 calls for police service. So they're leading the league right now.
What type of calls?
It varies. They run the gamut from suspicious incidents, frauds, those kind of things. Very little person-to-person crime, which we're always grateful for within our city. But again, a lot of things along those lines. So
A
again,
lot of loud music calls, huh?
sometimes. But again, things in Winmore have been very quiet with COVID and with a lot of people staying inside, although that's brought its own challenges. Crime has gone down, although victimization of fraud is still our main concern of ours. So we take the advice very seriously about scams and those kind of things, and we want them reported to us so we can track them, certainly, and get as much awareness out there as possible. One thing that the police department has been doing for the last couple of weeks is we've had a toy drive going on, and we will be delivering a truckload of toys to Sala Children's Hospital tomorrow, which we're very proud and happy to do, and hopefully make some children very happy this year if they're confined to the hospital over the holidays. So we're happy with that, and basically that's it. We're hopefully everybody's having a good holiday so far, and Christmas is coming up in a week or so. So we look forward to a happy and healthy new year.
Let's all thank Michael for what he does for us all year. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you,
The
Michael,
Winmore.
for everything.
Officer
The
Michael.
Winmore.
Right. Okay, we were talking about loud music. We love loud music, and Jackie's going to introduce a very, very special guest who later, hopefully we have time to talk to, because I have a lot of things to say about this guest. But Jackie, you want to do the intro?
Sure, Bruce. Thank you. Well, as you know, we have a lot of talent here in Winmore. This happens to be an exceptional talent. He's going to actually take us to the islands today. Wayne Armond is a resident and a wonderful musician. If you've been to the bistro, he has entertained there. He's done a few functions here in Winmore. He used to do the dance on Monday nights. Hopefully, Wayne, we could give you a lot more to keep you busy once we open up. But I'm not going to take any of your time up. So I'm going to introduce to everyone Wayne Armond. Please take it away.
Thank you, Jackie.
Okay, Wayne.
Yes, I've been here now living at Wilmore from about a year and a half. It's been a very wonderful experience. People are just great. Community is excellent. No complaints. I've been welcomed here like I've been here before. So,
Wonderful. We're happy to have you.
Thanks so much. I'm Jamaican, born and bred, and I've been playing music from I was about 15 years old, which is in the 60s, late 60s. I have had the pleasure of touring the world. I've been on nearly every continent in Jamaica. And apart from having my own band, I have also worked with some of the legends of Jamaican music. You might be familiar with Jimmy Cliff. I spent 6 years with Jimmy Cliff, touring the world with him, and as well as a jazz legend from Jamaica called Monty Alexander, who has been in New York and who was recognized in his early years by none other than Frank Sinatra. And I've had the pleasure of touring and recording with both of those legends. So I really, if I was to go into my bio, it would take quite a while. So what I would like to do is just ask you, first of all, if you have any questions for me, I'm very willing to answer whatever I can. And I think Kia requested that Bruce wanted me to play a song that I recorded, a cover of Rod Stewart's song about 20 years ago, and I haven't played it since then. But Bruce would like me to do it, I think. So I'll give it a try.
Thank you.
If I mess up, you'll understand.
Yeah, we'll sing along. No, we won't.
Wake up, Maggie, I think I got something to say to you. It's late September and I really should be back in school. And though I kept you amused, I feel like I'm being used. Oh, Maggie, I shouldn't have tried anymore. You led me away from home just to save me from being alone. You stole my heart, and that's what really hurts. Oh, Maggie, Maggie May. Oh, Maggie May. Sorry, I don't remember any more of that, Bruce.
That was wonderful. I got tears in my eyes. That was really nice.
I hope that was good enough to wet you up.
Right. Are you going to play anything else for us?
Well, yeah, there's a song that I wrote. Actually, I wrote it just prior to coming to Florida to live. It's a song that I wrote because in Jamaica, people are, just like in Florida, I suppose, but people are prone to hard times. We're not a first world country, and there's a lot of poverty, and there's a lot of people with much similar situations as I've seen here, especially how COVID has affected so many people. And it's really just a song of hope. And when I recorded that song, I actually did it, a lot of it in Jamaican dialect, but I'm going to try and see if I can do it in Queen's English for you. Let's see, and you might be able to pick up some more of the sentiments of the song. It's all right. It's okay. Just hang on a little bit longer, 'cause tomorrow is another day. It's all right. It's okay. Just stand firm in the face of adversity and watch them fade away, fade away. Life has a way to bring you down when the money in the bank gets shut up and the bills coming in and you're caught in between the devil and the deep blue water. I know it's hard when you come home in the night and the children ain't got no supper. So you do what you can, 'cause a man is just a man and you don't want to see the children suffer. And you pray to the Father when this tribulation's gonna end. Remember Jonah in the belly of the whale and Daniel in the lion's den. 'Cause it's alright, it's okay. Just hold on a little bit longer, 'cause tomorrow is another day. It's alright, it's okay. Just stand firm in the face of adversity and watch them fade away, fade away, fade away, fade away.
Wayne, you're fantastic. I'd like to say, everybody's got to check out YouTube. Wayne's got the video. Look under Chalice, which was your group, right? That you were with?
Right.
Featuring Wayne Armond, Armand. And the video is called It's All Right. Now, I was a little disappointed because you only had 9,944 hits this morning. It's now up to 9,960. I think I played it all day.
Oh, man.
But we got to get up into the 100,000s. This is a great song. The video is very professional. You're fantastic. And Wani's on the air here. Wani was friends with Bob Marley. He played soccer with Bob Marley. So he's my expert reggae guy that I go to. And I just want to mention, you have a new album coming out, right? You took this Alton Ellis, who was a great vocalist in Jamaica, and you did an instrumental album on a vocalist? You got to explain that to me.
Well, Alton Ellis was an artist from the ska. Ska is really Jamaica's most popular, first indigenous form of popular music. Ska. It was like, it's really fast.
He was like my Elvis, yeah.
Right. And Bob Marley, Alton Ellis, these guys from that same generation. But Alton Ellis' music was very melodious. It lent itself to melody, so it was nice to play on the guitar or any lead instrument, a saxophone and trumpet. So when COVID hit, I was shut down from doing live stuff, and I said, this would be my COVID project since I'm shutting up. And it was actually completed a lot quicker than I thought it would be. So now I'm sending it to the professional engineers in Jamaica, get it mixed and do the album design.
You also did an album of Burt Bacharach covers, didn't you? That reggae style.
No, not all reggae style.
No?
Burt Bacharach was probably a great influence. Dionne Warwick. Right. When I was young, I heard Dionne Warwick sing. I was just in love with everything, not just Dionne Warwick. And then in later years, I found that most of her songs were composed by Burt Bacharach. And I owe those melodies. So when I started my studio in Jamaica, that was my first project. It's an album called Always Something Dear to Me. And it's available online if anybody wants to check.
Right. I've looked it up. Yeah. But the video, you got to see It's All Right. This will blow your mind. Really great stuff. You have a lot of good days in front of you here. I really believe this could take off. People have to see this. It's got to be in the 100,000 soon. We got to make that happen.
It grows from your words to the Father's.
Because once you see it, everybody, check it out. Seriously. You'll be telling all your friends and relatives, and you'll say, I'm proud to know Wayne Armond, the guy that did this video. And maybe he'll give us his autograph someday.
Unfortunately, I have a friend who lives in England, and she wrote me 2 days ago, and she asked me to send her the link to the video because her brother in Kentucky was on his last, and he loved that stuff. He wanted to watch the video before he lost his son. But I hope I have made this passion. That's such a thing. But apparently this song has touched many lives.
That's mine. Okay. Any questions for Wayne? Anybody want to? Wayne, they're very shy, these people.
No problem.
Okay, so.
If
let's give.
If we're on Winmore rights, we will book up when I'm riding.
All right. And we know we're going to see you soon on Winmore Property playing for us. Okay. So, Jackie, I think we're ready. We're going to try this again from last week. We're still in Hanukkah, right?
Yes, we are still in Hanukkah. So we do have a song for you guys. The 8 Days of Hanukkah by Sharon Jones and the Dap King Band. It is accompanied by a video.
Light a candle for those Micallef whose oil did burn and burn. Day 2. Time to spin the dreidel and hope that Gimbal shows up on my turn. Day 3. Fry a bunch of latkes with applesauce, sour cream, and all. Day 4. Cooking up the brisket, the kosher butcher sold my uncle saw. Day 5. I like it more than Pesach. Let's leave the man and chef, it's on the shelf. Day 6. Give for the children $5 check from great grandma Sam. Day 7. Let a whole bunch of candles. Gotta keep that shamas going right to left all the way until day 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Days of love. Days of hate. Days of Hanukkah. Days of Hanukkah. Grows with love. Grows with love. Days of Hanukkah. 8 days of Hanukkah. Every one of them grows with love. Love.
Okay, everybody. See you next week. Thank you to our guests, Wayne and the sheriff, and everybody for coming, and have a great week.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, guys.
Happy holidays.
Me too. Thanks.